Howdy, everybody. It is some day, and I'm not actually really sure what. Oh, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. I knew that. I was just testing you. You all passed. Well done. Okay. So, was going through and I was doing the whole unwrap thing, and I realized that I'm doing it wrong. So, now we're going to unwrap this in a much less obnoxious way. So, all right. We also need QuaCk. QuaCk is Bojack's brother. No, Bojack. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something. I don't know. I got it. All right. Literally just before this show started, I was out on YouTube watching videos that I could never watch while streaming because then we'd get a copyright strike. Where people were saying, oh man, unwrapping in Blender is actually really easy, so just do it this way. And it takes 4 steps. And I'm like, so the only thing I need to do is figure out how to hide. Shift H. No, that's bones. I need faces. How do I hide parts of a mesh? Watch this video. Oh, hey. Is it B? No. Oh, that's not what we wanted to do. Okay, that wasn't the button we wanted to push. Well, yeah, I mean, we can't just leave the spaceship now. It's got no maps at all. So it would just look like a big piece of plastic in the comic. It would definitely not have the effect that it looks like. So, yeah. However, I mean, honestly, Brent, we had to do this. This had to be done. The mesh that was in Daz was sort of falling apart. It was hard to manage, and it was taking a lot of time to do the work in. And so we really had to do this. This had to be done somehow. And it was either now when I'm kind of not feeling it on trying to get artwork done. By the way, I have to say, I think all of us right now are in a little bit of a malaise because of the AI stuff. All of us are kind of doing the, what the hell are we doing now? Why are we working? Why don't we just give up sort of feelings? And though obviously we don't want to give in to those feelings, and we don't want to surrender to them, clearly. They are real. You know, a lot of us artists are having real crises of faith. You know? So it's just before Christmas, it's just before the new year. And you know what I mean? I'm just kind of feeling like this is a great time for me to screw around with meshes. Because, you know, my driving school is gearing up for the Christmas run, and so none of my meetings are on and stuff like that. Do we have meetings today? I don't even know. Hang on. I need to check to see if I've got a meeting today because I might be missing my meeting. Hang on. I'm checking to see if I have a meeting today with my team. No, I don't. What is it with people? Everything requires an app on my stupid phone. Oh, and this is going to be required. They're going to require me to download the app. That's nice. There's no choice. This went really rough all of a sudden. This was an easier job a few minutes ago. Anyway, stupid authenticator app. I have so many apps on my phone runs slow. And they're all required. Everybody requires me to have some dumb app. It all requires these dumb apps, and all of them run, and then all of them eat up all of my space on my phone. And then I can't type anymore on my phone because when I type, I start typing and it goes tick, 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 tick. Oh no, skip letters. Oh, I can't figure out what you're trying to say. So I don't type on my phone anymore. And what I was doing was I had been keeping myself off of the internet because the only way I was making it so that I could argue was I promised myself I would only argue on Facebook on my phone because it's a pain in the butt to type on my phone. But now it's become such a pain in the butt that I've moved back to being on the PC on the phone or on the and now I'm arguing on the internet again. Like, I had this figured out, guys. I had this figured out. All right. The thing that really sucks is I need to use my hang on, guys. This has become complicated all of a sudden. Just to check to see if I have a meeting today, it's taking forever because I can't log into Teams until I download this thing. All I want to do is see whether I have a Teams meeting today. And as is typical, every single use code is considered spam. So I have to go to my spam filters. All right. I need to use the Authenticator app to scan in the QR code. Right. Verifying ID. Oh, scan QR code. While using this app. Workers cool account? I don't know. I, there we go. Okay, that made sense. Next. That didn't actually go very. Oh. That wasn't actually hard. Oh. Not only does it need that, it needs my phone number too. That's all of this to find out whether I have a meeting today. Because I don't actually know if I have a meeting today. All right. My news, my sites, my files, my lists. Curriculum meeting. When is it? That was last week. Do we have a curriculum meeting today? Does anybody know? I don't think I have a meeting today, but I'm very confused if we don't. Okay, well, that was all to find out. No, I don't have. Good morning, Bishimoda. Hello, Donald. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out whether I have a curriculum meeting for my animation project today. I don't think I do. So, B, this is the QuaCk in all of her glory. And I have been working on her for a while now. And I'm trying to map her at this point in time so that we can put new maps on her. But this is a newer model. I've upgraded my model now because what I learned was in okay, so there's a story. In the next comic that I'm drawing now, the QuaCk needs to open up the missile pods. The missile pods are these doors right here on either side of the main body. Those doors need to open. The way that I have set it up in DAZ, they're lined up and aligned with the actual spacecraft. So the doors don't open like this, they go like this and twist. So I need to get them aligned properly. In order to align them properly, I need to actually put it in as a character, make a figure out of it in DAZ instead of having it as it is right now, which is a bunch of parts sort of flying together in formation. And I need to reorient that, which will allow us to do things more interesting in the future. Like I'll be able to animate it with it set up as a model. Yeah, it's the canards are actually important though. The canards are the donkey drive. Donkey drive projects a black hole in front of the spacecraft, and then the spacecraft falls towards the black hole. Since the drive is projecting the black hole, when the spacecraft falls towards the black hole, it pushes the black hole because it's just a projection. So that way you get effectively unlimited acceleration and deceleration at any speed. Yes, but you need to have the projectors as far apart as you can possibly get them so that it can project it can get as wide as so all ships in my universe have a hammerhead front of some sort. The bad guys use a half dish, so it's similar to the saucer section of a Federation starship, or like the Intrepid class. You know, as you I know, but the Intrepid class, which has that half saucer design. And I know you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's the. So anyway, the canards are important. It doesn't matter. The atmospheric section of the spacecraft is designed around the F4 Phantom school of thought, which is put a big enough engine on it, you can make a brick fly. So that's where we are. So that's how that's working. But anyway, yes, it's got canards, though that's really. This is the only class of ship that goes atmospheric. Everything larger than this ship can't handle the atmosphere. This is a Corvette class, so it's the smallest model of vessel that we've got. So anyway, I just watched a video on unwrapping and then had to go figure out whether I actually had like a job today that had to be done. And instead, I am arguing with a cranky unwrap, which I don't know if I wanted to do. So it had said to go through what he had said was to go through section by section and just hit unwrap and let it do its unwrap as weird as it's going to do it, whatever weirdness it wants to do. Which then I did, and I got this. Is interesting because I actually can see that's a flap right there. It's the underside of the flap. So the unwrap actually isn't horrible on these flaps. And that's the missile doors. I don't know what that is. No. Is that the entire door? That is. Oh, it's because I think I parked that out here somewhere on the line. I mean, like, it's not doing a bad job in general of unwrapping. I don't know what parts are coming up on things, though. Oh, that's a tail. Okay. Okay. But the flaps here, really not bad. I'll go ahead and pull these flaps out because that's not horrible. It actually didn't do a bad job. So I'll pull the flaps out. I don't know where to put the top of the flaps, but they put the bottom of the flaps somewhere. Really isn't horrible. So what I just did was I went into Blender and just hit unwrap. I just selected the whole thing and told it to unwrap with no seams cut into it. The way that Blender likes to use its smart unwrap function is it takes an object and you design a seam around it where once it has a seam, then you tell it to unwrap and it'll unwrap by cutting the mesh along that seam, splitting it out, and then unwrapping it. And then you're in charge of cutting the seams into smaller pieces that are usable. Well, that's a zillion seams on this ship. I mean, it's going to take us all week to cut out to write all the seams in on this ship. So I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do that. I mean, legitimately, that seems like a miserable thing to do. So I went and looked onto YouTube because there has to be a better way to do this. And the guy said, yeah, don't do that. Just select part of the ship, tell it to unwrap it. It'll unwrap it in a weird way. Then you select all of the maps when it's done and say, create seams from the islands. And what it's going to do then is, because you cut the top part off, it's going to unwrap it weirdly, and then it'll create a seam around that, and then you can re-unwrap it, and it re-unwraps correctly. And I was like, oh, that's a whole lot easier. And then I realized that I potentially had a meeting today with the design team for the animation. And realized that that's probably not really what's happening. So we'll see that. But I had to go through that whole thing. So when you jumped in, Bishimoda, at that point, I was looking at downloading an authenticator onto my phone so that I could have an authenticator app, because it wasn't letting me into our Teams website until I finished the 3-factor authentication, because it wanted not only the authenticator app to be installed on my phone, which gripes me all the time because now I have 60,000 apps on my phone, and my phone's starting to run slow because there's a zillion apps always running, and it's because everything requires an app, and I'm so aggravated about that. Anyway, I'm going to take and try the trick that it was talking about. We're going to take this and we're going to just select the tails here and see what happens. So that's where we were when last you joined your intrepid hero, me. That was what we were doing. We were talking last night about you, Bishimoda, and I can't remember what we were talking about. Something not scary or weird, something totally reasonable and absolutely nominal for you as a person. So it wasn't like we were like, haha, that Bishimoda guy, we don't even like him, or anything like that. It was a perfectly normal discussion, but Kian and I were discussing something, and now I can't remember what it was. But I'm sure it was perfectly fine. Unwrap. I don't know where the heck you put it, though. Yeah, it's great that you unwrapped it. Now, where did you stick it? Is that it there? And like, if I scale this up, am I going to get anything? Or did you just stick every single one of those? Wow, that's kind of creepy. Smart protection from view. There we go. Unwrap. Why does it do that? It's giving me an error. It's throwing an error. What's the error it's throwing? Unwrap. Edge seams may need to be added. You were okay with it before I... Whatever. See, if you smart unwrap it, it seems to get it just fine, people. All right, one tail. I don't understand. Sometimes I just don't get it. It's like I don't get what Blender's problem is. I do not want to do the islands thing. That takes forever. And doing seams is unseemly. Oh, right there. Hey, George, you're like clockwork. You know that? Like, I can tell when Mom has left for work. Because now you're like, I want scritches. Mom left. Why is that open? What in the world is going on here, folks? That may be part of the reason why it's freaked out. There's the other tail. This is so much easier. Why do I make this hard for myself? Guys, why do I do this to myself? There. Missile door. Also a missile door. And gravity wing. Hey, George. And actually, technically, we could take this and do the same thing, even though I've already done that. But with it smart unwrapped, we've got all of the flaps. This is this flap. Leading wing. The only problem is that it made it all it's making them all uniform, so they're not We're gonna have to go back in and rescale it because it won't work this way like we want. It won't work like we want it to. Now let's see how it figures this one out. I'm curious about that one. This is the first one that actually has complicated pieces to it. There's the ramp's sides. That's totally readable. We can get in there and mess with it. That's at least workable. All right. So, for those who are wondering what we are doing here, the hard part's going to be things like this, where we really need to get the engine pods separated out. But they're already attached to the spacecraft. Because earlier, in a fit of I don't know what the hell I was thinking, I disabled. It's so weird. The vacuum cleaner is going on downstairs, and this is such a 21st century problem. It's rumbling around, and I can't tell if there's somebody down there that needs help, or if it's just the vacuum cleaner running into every wall, which it does. There's one engine. Such a weird 21st century. Right? My robotic vacuum cleaner is interrupting my live stream where I'm designing a spaceship on my computer. I'm not even sure how to comprehend. This is such a weird statement. All right. Yeah, it's like weird and strange. So we're going to put that over there. All right, you. Smart UV project. I'll put you over here. Now, what's left is the bottom of the nacelles. Which will go right next to the top of the nacelles, because those two will work together just fine. And then the landing struts. I'm going to put the front landing strut, because that's the landing strut door. That's the front landing strut. So I'll do this and this and then this, just to get us started here. All right. And that puts both rear landing struts and the front landing strut out. So they are no longer. All that should be left now is the main hull. Why are there sections of that tail that are not selected? Ugh. Okay, fine. I wasn't as careful on this tail as I was on the other tail, I guess. All right. Are you the tail? No, you're a flap. You're the tail. And you're this tail. All right. Take you. And then we're going to make sure we select every piece. Probably because I had it in that mode. Every piece is selected. Yes, no, yes, no. Yes. Okay, unwrap. Smart unwrap project. Okay. That puts them correct. Now, everything that's left is just main hull, right? Right? So if I were to say Smart UV project and do that, what do I get? What kind of trouble do I get? That Smart UV project. Okay. Now we've broken every piece out. Let's take a look and see what we've got. Like, how viable is this? Looks messy. Wow, look at all the windows. It like strapped all the windows together into one unit. Right through here. That's so weird. I mean, not bad, maybe, but definitely weird. Like, should I do parts of the spacecraft from different angles? Maybe I should just do the main core, each wing. Yeah. Okay, how do I hide? I was just doing this before, hiding objects in Blender. Okay, but I don't need a mask. It's all good. Face selecting mask. Hide, unhide. H. Unhide them with Alt H. There. Cool. And here's what we're going to do. It's going to be a trick. I'm going to take all of you and move you over here. And take all of you and hit H. Ah, look at that. All right. So now all we have left is the hull. Perfect. So this will allow me to do tricks like just selecting this section of the ship. Just the wing. Just above there, all the way to the wing spar joint. And you. Making sure, because this is kind of a complicated piece of mesh right around this section right here, where we're right inside the missile bay. And there, oh, that's, yeah, of course it's open. And like right through here, you two. Part of the wing. Not the mount to the tail. We don't need to worry about that. Make sure the front has that little guy right there. Right, okay, good. Smart UV, okay. And that's one wing. And then we can go H. They vanish. Bye. All right. We'll do the same thing over here. Start naked mode because we might as well select as much as we can. Well, we still can. Well, we can. UV mapping is typically very complex and difficult no matter which way you put it. Even with easier tools, it's still a pain in the butt. I can already see this is something that just didn't quite get mapped on the tail. It's not something I'm going to worry too terrible much about at the moment, but it definitely is something that didn't get caught. I didn't go with this run on. All right. There's the other wing. Get out here, hit hide. All right. Really? It is too. I mean, like, ugh. All right. And I mean, you guys know me. I like having more believable science. That's one of my favorite things. So, we try to be as believable as possible here. Snagging as much of this as I can before I get into this piece here, which does not need to be snagged. This is just we're just trying to catch the hammerhead itself, because it's mapped not differently per se, but it is mapped in a different, but we want to make sure that it's mapped differently. So, all right. And markedly easier to mess with. Just hoping that I'm not parking stuff on top of one another. Man, I should have done this before. We are further now than we were last night at this time. I'd barely gotten any of this done. It is actually one of my gripes about today's culture. There are a lot of helpful people out there, super helpful. But the internet is also a meritocracy. And we get merit from getting views on our YouTube channel and stuff. So, I need you. I just project from you. I'll just get you out of here somewhere, and I'll put you over here somewhere. Right. No. Yep. Good enough. We'll figure you out in a minute. Hi, George. How are you today? Me too. Me too. It's a day. Huh? It's a day. Yeah. I agree. You always do this. You get over here and then you back up. I don't know. That's weird. All right. Everything to this side now we will hide. And we are left with just the forward core. And a embossed mouse. There's my mouse. There's another one. You're goof. You're goof. You're such a goof. Your butt's in the air. You know that, right? I'm just saying. Nobody wants a cat butt. I mean, you are a butt, and that's a different story. Are we talking about AIs building starships? You know, you're making. I can't see anything because of a George. You're gonna lick my nose. You're gonna lick my nose. Yeah. This is becoming a morning ritual. You know, you smell like cat food. You ever notice that? Just saying. My nose needs to be cleaned every day, I think. You saying something, George? Okay, well, I'm going to keep working then. I have work to do. See, don't clean my eyebrows. That's weird. All right. They kept us up until like 4 a.m. Whatever. Ridiculous. It was ridiculous. You're a good cat. You're a good cat. You know you're a good cat, right? I wish you'd stop tormenting Dove, though. Right, not inside there. It doesn't work like that. You can do that all you want. It won't change anything. All right. There's the forward piece. We'll hide that. And that leaves us literally just the after section. And we'll see what it does. There we go. Now, bring everybody back. I know, he's such a goof. There we go. Now we have the whole spacecraft back. Let's take a look at what we've got, what kind of trouble we. If we do this, like we said, and then we say in here, there was a function he was saying where we were where we could take. Ugh, you just hit me in the face with your butt. I don't like your butt. He said there was a command we could use, which was something to the effect of create. What was the function? Was it in object mode? No, because everything disappears in object mode. It's not a bug. You think it's a bug. It's not really a bug. Okay. You know, you are who you are, and I can't really change that, and that's fine. All right, and this is the nose. All right, and this is the right or starboard side canard. It's the port side canard. I'm going to call them canards now because Bishimoto started that. Because they are canards. I've just been calling them something completely different because that sounds like a thing. But you know what? They are canards. That's a missile door. So, port wing. That's the starboard wing. And the missile door can be an extension of that. And that's this missile door. Right. We've got all this under control, right? These are landing gear. All three of these are the landing gear. So I'm going to put the landing gear right here temporarily. It's a landing gear door, which really should be on the wing. You know you can't do anything. Okay. Just saying the door, that's not okay. He's doing this experimental touching thing where he's like reaching out and touching the screen. Why does the screen move? What's going on? And now he's gone. It's a weird animal. And that is an engine nacelle. So this is all engine. That's the same engine. Good. Useful. So I'll put that here. And this is the other engine nacelle, and I'll put that here. That's a wing tip. So we'll put it at the end of the wing. That's the landing strut or the landing ramp. We're just getting everything organized so that we can figure out where things are. That's a flap. That's probably the other flap. So they're out of scale. Everything's out of scale at the moment. It's a wingtip. And then these are all tails. And they're the wrong tails. That's even better. So at this point, we've pretty much set up exactly how this spacecraft works. There we go. We take this and look at it from here. We now have everything sort of set up properly. The biggest problem is that it's not set up proportionally. So like the landing gear is huge and the main body is tiny. And we want it all to be in the same scale. So that's the next question I'm going to ask out here. Find out where you can watch soccer matches. Okay. No thanks. I'm not even remotely interested. All right. Blender UV maps proportional. Oh yeah. All right. So there's a built-in. How does it work? Under UVs, average islands scale. It automatically does it. Of course, everything's screwed up, but it automatically does it. All right. So there is literally a button for this. I just need to get everything away from each other so that I can do it. But once I've got the button, there's a button for it. These larger pieces will shrink down, but the big pieces are going to become big. And the wings become bigger too, so we got to get everything away from the wings. Huh. So clearly, there's already a procedure for this that takes less time than it looks. Like, clearly somebody has already suffered all of these slings and arrows. Oh, there's the seams from islands. Cool. Make sure nobody crushed anybody else. Kind of got some stuff going on up here that needs to be figured out. Like some of this needs to be really figured out down here. Something got all gobbledygooky here on the wings. Okay, so then once we do that, then we can say unwrap. Bob's your uncle. Hey, Bob, you're my uncle. Bet you didn't even know that. Wow. Huh. No, I haven't seen that. I want to see it now. That's so cool. Like, I'm wondering how well this set up. I mean, I know this is the most efficient, but I can't read it. Right? I mean, I don't. Everything on here is some piece of the spacecraft, and I'm never going to figure this out. I mean, it's logically flattened out correctly now. And I put in the seam markers over here so that it's not unseemly anymore. But it's also very hard to understand. So, hmm. I don't know if I like that. Because at this point, okay, let's try a different question out there. Instead of trying to get it to unwrap again, which I don't want it to do, because unwrapping messed it up. See, this I can read, not awesomely, but I can read. Maybe I can't read this. And maybe we use the unwrap function for everything else, but this center hull has so much complexity to it and so many pieces that are difficult to understand, then maybe this isn't a bad place for me to re-unwrap things manually and hide everything but the center torso of the ship. Because this is really difficult to parse. The data is difficult to parse. And so maybe just the center section. Um, I'm actually pretty satisfied though with what it automatically did for every other piece. Like even the nose piece is not impossible to understand. I mean, some of this is really complicated in here, but it's not horrible. Like, I'm not 100% sure what all of these small pieces are. I guess if we were to go up here, yeah, that's what I thought. It's structure around the face of the ship and stuff like that, which might be better off to just take this front piece here as one unit, kind of things like that. That's not necessarily true. You know that I have broken it off at some point. That's the front and the back of the landing gear bay. And that whole piece. Why would you break that up into little pieces? You guys make me feel guilty for this. So a lot of this is, how do I make it so that 5 minutes or an hour's worth of work now will save me 6 or 7 hours worth of work in the next iteration. And a lot of this comes from experience of doing this the first time, because we put this ship through this the first time around. And I spent, I think, 3 days unwrapping it, if you recall. And we just spent an hour unwrapping it now. So we're getting better on the unwrap side. The question really is, how much extra work do I need to put in to make this viable? I think learning some important pieces like this is valuable. Ooh, we didn't delete that, did we? No, we didn't. Okay. Hide, not delete. Luckily, delete apparently does not work in Blender like it does everywhere else. Sure. See, I think I can select just this guy right here and say front like this, and then just say project from view, right? And that just gives me that entire face. Your face. And that should give that a lot less of a problem child issue. Same thing here. This is just the back of the landing bay. And actually, this isn't horrible. got caught up in it? Yeah, actually, I think this is probably the easier way to do this. Naturally. However, this is very satisfying. Yep, I agree. That's sort of why I'm not that concerned yet. I also feel, like I said, I feel a little, I don't know if I want to say unhappy, but uncomfortable with the whole AI discussion thing. So it's good to kind of give me a moment or two to kind of just regroup a little here. Ooh, that was close. I'm like, I'm going to try to put these somewhere else. Puts them right in the middle of some other big project. You are still here.
Yeah. Working from home for a little bit.
Oh, usually George comes up here to do Give Me Love because mom has gone.
Ah.
So he's done that this morning, and I was like, I guess you're gone. But you're not, which is fine. You can totally be here. I just was like, is there someone in the house? You know.
I am about to leave. But yes. I mean,
Brent says hi very loudly. There's lots of, exclamation points and all caps.
Okay. Hi, Brent. I'd say
Subtly, without caps or exclamation points. I feel like there are ways to navigate it, and I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get out of it easily. However, I appreciate that. So I'm going to take the landing gear and move them totally out of the picture over here. So that I can keep throwing things to the top as I work on pieces. All right, let's fix some of these other weird issues. Like the face is pretty, I guess that's pretty okay. It isn't grabbing though, like this piece right here. That's really kind of one of the things I want. I call this the face because it is one of the things we see prominently when we look at this ship, is this entire plate up here. So I kind of feel like we should get all of these guys in on it. Right? And then go to the front and say, project from view. And that would give us just a prominent straight on. That is my concern, is I'm worried that by the time the discussion happens, I mean, somebody was already reporting that kids in art school right now are starting to just give up because they don't think there's a chance. There's nothing they can do. So they're talking to advisors about switching to, a law degree or something. And the problem, of course, is that though that's not a horrible plan necessarily, it does sort of preclude the idea of doing the thing you're good at in favor of just doing a thing. And that's probably not the world's best concept in the world, because you're not good at it, which means that in technically speaking, you're just setting yourself up for failure, and that does concern me. I'm all about the idea of, do a job, but if you're not suited for it, if it's not your thing, we're really just asking for, a whole bunch of people to be in really lousy shape. When they get out of school. Because there are ways to figure out what you're good at. And we all have a number of interesting and unique skills that aren't necessarily the skill we're in or the field we're in. I'm really good at database management, which is not a skill you'd think would be something I'd be good at, but I am. It is. It's killing imagination, and that's a problem, child. That's going to be a problem, child. We're going to have issues with that for a while. I think part of it has been almost always we have had a problem in our society with perceiving art as a hobby, not a profession. And so we end up with situations like this a lot of the time that people feel like the solution should be to just tell the artists to get a job. The problem is, as I've often said, art is pervasive in all of our life. There's a real need for artists. And if you wipe out your artists class, then you end up, that's actually exactly what happened to communism, like Russia and China. Not China as much because they figured out it was a problem, but under Marxist communism, artists are considered a low class, or you don't get paid for being an artist. So artists don't exist. And so brutalism came around. And as much as I think brutalism is fun, brutalism is ugly. It's ugly as sin. And it's because no artists were paid, so you couldn't be an artist. So you worked on bricks and making bricks, and that's what you were doing. And so they got rid of their artists, and all art disappeared from Russia, and it became ugly and dark, which feeds into the belief that, communist Russia was brutal. Although that wasn't the intention, it wasn't the design, that's what happened. Brutalism came about because of that. A fascinating part of art history, which is where the unintentional consequences of societal operation happened. But we need artists. I mean, even if you think about little things, I'm keeping you guys entertained today. You guys are helping me, I'm helping you. We're working together and kind of getting this done. But you're keeping me entertained, I'm keeping you entertained. I'm serving a purpose. That is so weird. All by owns himself out there. You belong to the wing. I think the rest of this is pretty straightforward. The program's definitely contributed. But yeah, I mean, studying Soviet brutalism is a fascinating, like, dissertation worthy thing. I don't know if that's going to work like I want it to. What if I just unwrap it? I mean, why go through all the problems here? Just unwrap it. What do you come up with? That's not bad. In fact, perfectly usable. I'll know what that is. Right? That's readable. Readable. Yeah, it's one of those things. YouTubers serve a purpose. We may not think of them straight up as any kind of purpose, but my kid is on YouTube all the time, watching YouTube channels, and I mean, he was just talking last night about one of his shows came to an end because they had run out of topics to talk about, and so yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, like, you can't just say all artists need to be open to just tootle around and fly to fancy and yada yada yada, because obviously sometimes you do need to just grow up and get a job. But on the flip side, those of us that really are professional artists and that's our calling, we can't be dropped from that because it's presumed that we are just not wanting to grow up and not wanting to get a job. That's a little blunt. Okay, what are the rest of these pieces? Why are you not here? Why are you not connected to? Like, that's the top of this ring, which is not with this ring, weirdly. That's a weird place to decide to put that. These are spurs of something that should be on the right side. That means it didn't select it all. When I selected it, like, you need to be selected, you need to be selected and stuff. Yeah, I think that it's another one of those things where we don't take care like we really should. Um, See, now I don't even know where you belong. Really, this is why you guys make me angry. You're making me really angry. I need my control piece because you belong to you. You then project from view. Now everybody should be in the right spot. But I think the default mode has been in our society for a very, very long time. The default mode has been that if you are wanting to be an artist, you just don't want to work. You want to play all the time. I think that's been where we've kind of defaulted, and I feel like that's disingenuous. Some people really do need to be in this field, and that's just the way it is. Okay, who overhears in this section? You really? Is it because you're folded? I think you're folded. That's part of the problem. Yeah, I also think that as a society, we'll be forced into it because I think what's going to start happening soon is people are going to be fundamentally unemployed, and there's going to be a significant portion of our population unemployed, and that's going to be when the discussion has to happen. Because once you have a significant portion of the population unemployed, people are going to have to start talking about the fact that I think these are just bits. Have to start talking about the fact that it's because once AI takes out our jobs, then the robots take out the McDonald's jobs, and now they're already talking about automating house construction, um, and things like that. I mean, there won't be just go get a job anymore. It won't happen. There won't be a job for us to just go get. You can't just go out and get a job. So once all of this is automated, we're going to have a serious talk and just accept that there will be people who do not work. And we're going to have to take care of them as a society. We're going to have to figure out a way to take care of these guys. And we can't just say, well, if they don't want to work, then, which is what we're doing right now, we're going to have to, yeah, it's going to have to be basic. And that discussion has been going on. And every time, because I'm actually interested in basic's fascinating to me. It's an interesting concept. And I've been looking at it, and the experiments in basic have all turned out interesting because it doesn't go the way people think it will go. The result always is in basic that the people who are on basic become much more productive when not pressured to try to struggle to survive. Yeah, I mean, it's part of the aggravation that you get from the boomer generation through to the millennial generation with this whole, well, you should just pay off your student loans thing. Because the student loans now are 100, 200 times more expensive than they were in the boomer generation. And jobs haven't changed much. I mean, they've only gotten about 3 times more in increase in pay. So your McDonald's job that you got in 1960 that allowed you to pay off your student loans in the 3 years while you were in school, now will only allow you to pay a percentage a very small percentage of the interest on the current student loans. And you actually need about six full-time jobs, 6 8-hour jobs a day in order to pay off your student loans. And kids have been trying to do that. And even in my generation, they were trying to do that. They were struggling and they were trying to do that, and it was getting there, and it was just not working. I finally had the same problem. I couldn't get a job because when I went back to college, I was too old, and they didn't trust that I was not going to just go get a different job. So, yeah, exactly. I was just having this discussion this morning with my wife. Um, we're going to have to accept that our kid will be living here until his mid 20s, and that needs to be accepted. Because I've already, I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me. But, she and I were talking about it, and she's like, well, I hadn't really considered that. I'm like, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's nothing we can do. He's going to need a degree to get any kind of reasonable work out there because he needs to compete with everybody else. And the AIs are taking all of the jobs that don't require a degree. So those are all going to be gone. By the time he gets out of school, he's going to need a degree just to do anything. And so he's going to have to go to college, and that's going to cost us $60,000, which we won't have. So we're going to have to take a loan. He can't do rent, so it's going to be a problem. This is a real thing, and we're going to have. So she and I were having real talk about this. What do we do? We're going to have to figure this out. It's going to have to be squared away. That's a real talk. You can blame him for being lazy, but he's not. It's not on him. So I was saying to her, we're going to have to discuss this and reconfigure this house at some point so that he can have his own world in this house. Because that's going to be a reality. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this. A lot of my friends are doing I'm just not going to get a degree. Totally reasonable. But I can't see, my kid is moving into being a musician. I can't see that being something he's going to be. I mean, I just don't see him moving into the become a plumber or become an electrician sort of jobs. He might, but I can't see him doing that for his lifetime. You know what I mean? I don't see that being his career choice. I don't know what his career choice is at this moment. But I mean, he's interested in games. Well, I hate to say this, but the AIs are writing code. So, it's going to be another one of those, not much we can do for that. So, these are the things that kind of make me, just random pieces. I hate this. It's like, why didn't you pick this up before? And this became a real talk discussion this morning because we were talking about it, and That's rough. Yeah. Yes. Well, sure. And I mean, that's the thing, Brent. Even AI art is going to need oversight. You can't just have a manager come in and go, I need a picture of a person, enter, and then have it make exactly what that manager wants. As I illustrated with my friend Michael Pennington on the thread we were talking about, he was like, I wanted a wizard in the DMV. And I typed in Gandalf in the DMV and it didn't do bad. But that's all I pretty much did was type in Gandalf at the DMV. And it gave me 4 options and I picked the best one. And it gave me a pretty decent Gandalf at the DMV. Wasn't bad. But then he was like, well, yeah, but I needed something else. And I was like, aha, therein lies the rub. Even as the manager, if you will, of that particular project, he needed more than just Gandalf at the DMV. So that was an interesting and solid point. The question is, if I were to take, you're just not feeling like you're loved enough. I get it. Where was the option that I had? It was under UV. That's what it was. Average island scale. There we go. That's what we want. Now we have them at the right size for everything relative to itself. Well, and once they get AI with true creativity, like I said, that's going to be a different discussion. You don't have to worry about this at all because you're a cat. Okay, why did it add little spikes out here on the side? What does that mean? We will all effectively be George. It's funny. I had presumed that the AI war in Bellatrix Rising started because the AIs were unhappy. And now I'm kind of wondering if the AI's war in my story starts because classes of people are separated up. Okay, but you can't sit on my keyboard, goober. He's like, I don't want to be held down. You can't hold me down. I wish to stand here where I will stand on your keyboard. I don't mind you being up here, but you keep laying down on the keyboard. You can't lay on the keyboard. But I'm wondering if maybe the AI war in Bellatrix Rising was started because of the fact that the humans no longer did work. They only did labor effectively. You had 2 classes of humans. You had slave labor effectively, who were, building things, and then you had managers, and that was it. And the majority of, and then, the AIs then, so you had effectively 3 classes, 3 factions in the war. You had the labor class, which could no longer do anything except for effectively build things. Do the once the AIs tell you what to do, you have to go out there and stack bricks, and that's your own. That's the job we've got, and I'm sorry, you're going to have to do that. And like we're talking about, maybe that's the rise of that meritocracy, where it does the piece of, am I not paying enough attention to you? And maybe that's it. There were 3 factions involved in this war. The more I think about it, the more I think that's probably actually what will occur. We're going to end up with, all the artists, all the writers, all the, the people who do finish work on code, even, or just beginning work on code. All of those people will be unemployed. And in order for them to clear their value in society, they have to get some job. But robots run all of the menial labor, so they're stuck with things that require a small amount of thought process in the middle of it, labor. So it did do all. Oh, okay, I see what it's doing. George, I know you like the eternal switches thing, but I see. That's why I'm saying you can't touch the keyboard. If you mess up my maps, I'll be a little annoyed. I've worked for a long time on this. And the cat came back the very next day. The cat came back just like the other one. The cat came back the very next day. The cat came back. He's like, I'm just a happy cat. Okay, you need to go look at birds. Go look at birds. See if there are birds. See you later, Brent. All right. Right? He was so happy there for a minute there. He's like, oh, this is great, man. This is life. Goofy cat. He was like, I'm so into this. These maps will be better too. There we go. How did you get that? Sometimes I get on my kid's case because anytime anything goes wrong, his first assumption is always it's a bug or a glitch or something's wrong with the program. And I keep saying, I don't know, man. I think you should be assuming that it's not. However, I've got to say, somehow it selected this ring and this one triangle right there. And I'm like, how did you get that? How did you get this one triangle? How exactly did that happen? And it's not just one, it's two triangles. How did you do that? It's just funny because I get on him for, it's a glitch. Okay, it's a glitch, but I don't really think it's a glitch, Can I do a cylindrical projection? No, it's like you do the weirdest projection. Something else got selected up front again. It's got an outer ring of some sort, which means it picked something up somewhere else. I mean, that's good enough for government work. Hello, Green Zombie. Welcome to the show. We are working on a Blender model at this moment, which may or may not be interesting. We'll have to see. I'm doing well. The temperature is cold here in Colorado, but running well. Where are you coming in from? Usually the question I'm curious about. Where are you at this point? And how's the weather? I like that. I like finding out where things are all over the world. Let's see here. This is central core. So this is the bottom. That's the bottom. So this is the bottom. All right. I don't know if I can take these guys and separate them. I can. Okay. Yeah, you're out in the UK. Oh, yeah. I heard it snowed there a couple of days ago. like London proper, which I guess isn't that weird, but I mean, I guess you guys do have snow from time to time, but yeah, right now we're running at, let's see, it's 2 degrees. Oh, hey, it's a heat wave. We're above freezing. There you go. We're not much above freezing, but we're above freezing, so we're doing better. So we're at 2 degrees, and which I think we started out this morning at -7, so or -8. So that's not, yeah, so it's -1. So it's actually colder there. It's rare. Yeah, you guys have a lot of water around you. I noticed I spent some time in Tokyo, and I noticed that even when it dropped to -1 or -2, it would still it wouldn't snow necessarily. I mean, like it would think about it, but the fact that there's, I guess it's salt water in the air. I'm not sure. Yeah, the humidity levels probably higher humidity levels keep it from snowing. Up here, we don't have any humidity. Like it's so low here, and so because we're at high altitude too, because we're 1,600 meters above sea level. So since we're 1,600 meters up, we don't we're we have no humidity. Yeah. What? Now I'm wondering where B Shimoda grew up, because I'm like, this is the. I mean, unless you grew up in Death Valley, this is like the driest. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I could see that. So, yeah, I've got a buddy who works in London, and she was posting about the snow, but she's a Coloradan, so she's from here, but she's acclimated now. She's all adjusted to the UK, and now she was like, "This is so weird," and I'm like, it's because you gotten all adjusted. So Palos, where's that? In Washington? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, I know why. Yeah. Okay, so B Shimoda grew up in a part of America which is very unique because it's in the shadow of the Cascades. So the mountain range that goes up along that's the northern part of the Sierra Nevadas creates a shadow of weather which goes across Washington and Oregon and into Idaho and even somewhat into Montana. And that shadow means that there's literally two different environments within, like, I mean, like right around the Columbia River gets this weird. The Columbia River can travel through a number of different culture or ecosystems, and it's a fascinating place. I keep hearing about it. Now that you mentioned that, um, yeah, 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 yeah. It's the same thing as what we get here when we get the upslope on the mountain range. So for you, Green Zombie, we're talking about the way that the mountain ranges work here. Denver is literally at the foot of a mountain range, and the mountain range is the Rocky Mountains, of course, for us. The way plate tectonics worked uh, billions of years ago, the two plates collided, the Pacific plate and the North American plate. And when they collided, the Pacific plate did what's called subduction. It went underneath it like this. And then at some point, it broke and popped back up. And when it popped back up, it caused the Sierra Nevadas and the Rocky Mountains to show up. And where it ended, there's this plateau where it comes up, and you can literally see it along our mountain range. It looks like the mountains are ground that is lifted up like this. The mountains are flat, like they go straight up like this. Because what happened, of course, was the ground came up underneath it like this and lifted it forward. And Denver is situated on the flat area just on this foot of the mountains. And we call this the hogback on the south side and the Flatirons on the north side. And there, this it really does. It looks literally like ground that's been lifted up like that. And because of that, we get the wind comes in off of Kansas and hits it and goes up and makes a wall. And that wall means that it's difficult for weather patterns to cross that wall. We call that the upslope. And it causes a shadow in one way or the other. The difference between the shadow that Shimoda is talking about and the shadow that's caused by the upslope here is that we get weather patterns that go both directions. We'll get wind that comes, we'll get a weather system that'll come in off of, say, California, and we get weather systems that come in off of the eastern seaboard. So because of that, and they pretty much get stopped here, but it's why we'll also get those blizzards where it just snows on us and dumps everything on us. The benefit to that is that the weather in Colorado is typically quick. So we'll get a snowstorm and then all the snow will be gone in a week. You know. So Jerry's dropping treats for you. Where would George went? George? I think George has given up on the getting scritches thing. So it's the thing about a big country, a big country like the United States is we get these weird patterns from all over the place. It's like so strange because, when I was in Japan, they had similar geography, but because of the size of Japan, they didn't get the big movement of air and the big movement of systems like we do here. It was a very different thing. Monsoon seasons would take out most of the center island of Kyushu and would they'd all be inundated, and so it's kind of like a thing. So there you go. There's your geography lesson for the day. Every year our convention hosts Japanese guests, and we typically take them out for a drive around to the mountains because it takes about 15 minutes. It's only 15 minutes to our mountain range. And the mountains that are at the range, they're some of the mountains that are there are real big monster mountains, and like Pikes Peak is right on the very, very front range. You can literally drive from flat nothing all the way up to the top of Pikes Peak, and it's one of the ones we call a 14ers or 14,000 foot mountain. And so it's one of our biggest mountains, and it's right in front. Right? George needs to never give up. Well, he didn't today. Boy, he was up here like 4 or 5 times for scritches. He's finally let me alone though, because he's being nice. That's the side, which makes this the other side. Okay, yeah, I get it now. Now I see where we are on this. I think I liked it the way it was. We'll just leave this over here. The only problem is that means that there's going to be a sectional break here. And I don't know if I like that as much, but that's all right. We'll live. All right. Add on the GC. You know what? I'm gonna swap music though. Music started its thing where it's repeating the same beat over and over and over, and that bothers me a little. I'm gonna keep going for a little longer because getting some good work done here, and we've got Green Zombie, and I'm enjoying chatting with Green Zombie. There's that. See, I'm getting that same bass line again. I'm gonna swap music completely. I am not, however, pressing the Christmas music song. I'm just not. Hip hop. You're welcome. All right. So, to give you sort of an idea of what we're working on, I'm a comic artist, and actually, most of us in the Quasar Art Collective are comic artists. And I'm working on a comic called Bellatrix Rising, which is a science fiction comic a la Star Trek. So I'm a Star Trek fan, but I'd had a discussion with my dad, and he was like, "You can't sell Star Trek comics, so just right, save it for Kayan. So build a new world." And so I built a new world and new universe, and that's what we're doing here. This is my hero ship. I work in hand-drawn mixed with 3D, and that's K-Yen with a Y. You were right. So I work in a mixed format where I have 3D and 2D animation. I'll show you the end result of what we're doing today. It'll take a second. And we've been kind of offline-ish. So I'm gonna go up here, and in the end, we will have a hero ship that looks like. Come on, load. It's not this hard. It's this hard. There we go. It'll look like this. So this is my hero starship, but I did it wrong when I built this model, and when I made this model, I built it it's just a bunch of pieces that can be taken apart like this, so I can disassemble it by. That's not. The problem really came with the door. The doors don't open correctly because they are off-centered and weird. And I mean, legitimately, the wing is separatable and it shouldn't be. So there are parts that we needed to fix. It was okay for issue 1 of my comic, so I made one issue with it and it worked okay. It was functional. But now I want to go back in and rebuild it for multiple reasons. Reason number 1 is I'm kind of spun out a little bit. We're coming up on the holidays, and there's lots of things going on, and I have a day job, and and stuff like that. And so things are kind of complicated. That's 1. 2, just not feeling a lot of motivation right now to continue on with issue 2 at the moment. I'll get back to it. It'll be okay. So this is a good thing to work on. So we're working on this front piece, which on this model is separatable as well, and shouldn't be, but is. We're working on this front piece, which has what we call the pilot house. That's up here. The bridge of the ship is back here. And that's this piece right here. So that's what this is all about. We're just rebuilding this model and making it better and making it work. The other real reason we're doing this is because, man, I've got to say that Kayan's bots are aggressive. Maybe I should tell him to tone it back. The other thing that this will do is we can't animate this. This is not animatable. If you try to put this in animation, it just becomes a whole bunch of pieces flying around all over the place. The only way to make this animatable in DAZ 3D is to make a character out of it, like make a human being, so to speak, except not a human being. Because it actually understands how to make vehicles. But we're going to do that. In order to do that, it needs to be one piece. And you can see over here on this side, these are a lot of different pieces. So this is something I've been meaning to do for a while. The whole ship is here. It's just hidden at the moment. So it's all here. I've just hidden it out so that we can work on one piece at a time. The rest of the pieces are all out here scattered. And I think I'm happy with the front nose piece at the moment. So we're going to work on another piece now, because I feel like this is pretty much all we need to do at this point. These are correctly aligned and everything like that. So I'm just going to go on ahead and put the landing gear box over here. There we go. And I'll grab some of these little widgets. These guys belong to somebody else. That's what these guys I just need to. I think those aren't. There's nothing of major value on these, so I'll just make them very small and stick them in the center of the ring here. And that's what we're doing. And that also belongs to the base of the ship, but I'm not messing with it. I already did the work. I'm not doing it again. And this guy, I'll rotate 90 degrees. So what we're doing over here is, this is what we call UV mapping. And I don't know how familiar you are with 3D modeling, but a UV map is where you take something that's a shape and you have to make it flat so that you can draw on it and do the different drawings. If you look over here, not over here, if you look over here, I have to put, it's identifiable numbers. I have to be able to put these lines on it. The doorway, if you look at the docking door over here, it's got the service patch. These little parts right here are also errors that we're trying to fix. So it's got the service patch by the docking doors, stuff like that. Each one of the lifeboats over here, the life stations are numbered, and things like that. Landing gear doors need to have the ID number, stuff like that. No, those are maser weapons. These are the maser weapons. These guys here. That's why they're separated from the actual vessel, because different layouts of different corvettes are better or worse armed. So in this instance, this model of this corvette only has 3 maser ports, and one of them is missing. There's another maser port that's on the back, on the spine. So 1, 2, and 3 maser ports. So that way, those will never be modeled in, because I do want to be able to do other corvettes so that you can see, oh, look, it's a Type 3 Corvette. Oh, it's a Type 2 Corvette. This is a civilian model Corvette that doesn't have any weapon systems on it. So, the missile launcher tubes in the back would have drones, and there wouldn't be the torpedo tubes on the front, and there wouldn't be maser ports. So anyway, so yeah, we've got to UV map it, which means to take the object and unwrap it so that you can paint on it. But in order to do that, it needs to be logical. And part of the problem is I have to look over here and go, okay, can I read this? Can can I read the situation so that it makes some sense? So that's what we're doing here. I could be able to zoom in here. We're going to take this guy, line him up right here because that's where he goes, and I'll put him like this. So this is the outside, and this is the part that connects to the front on the nose piece. And this is the door. Which way does this go? So the arrow points to the front. All right. It's convenient. So now we know it. That's the front. Go to 90 degrees. There we go. And I'll put this guy where it is. Do the same thing here. And if you look at it, it's going to look similar to the idea of what would happen if you flattened a cardboard box. Right? Because now I've got the sides, and here's the front, like so, and here's the back, like so. So that is this door, or this bay right here, which is where the front landing gear lives. So the front landing gear lives inside that bay right up there, and it folds right up underneath there. And so now I've got effectively an unfolded box, which looks just like it right here. And that bay now that's what UV mapping is all about. And it has to be done flat, otherwise when it maps that, it'll map it at an angle or something like that. And really, you want to be able to put inside that bay, you want to be able to write things like, danger, don't stand here when the landing gear folds up, because that's what all aircraft have, things like that. So we kind of want to follow that pattern. Okay, so we've done that. So and it fits. You can see it fits. If you were to put it over the hole that's in this part here, the main part of it fits in that hole perfectly, which is exactly what I was looking for. The question really is, do I want to if I take the sides of this down, or turn them, sides of the front piece, like this piece right here, and rotate it, I can rotate it and then snap it to this side, which might be better. See, people are talking again on the music. That's so weird. I'm going to use so I think I can do this and it'll look okay. It's interesting. We, Bob and all of us have been talking about AI art and what that means for artists. And while doing that, I am sitting here trying to correct this because it's completely not human readable. I I can't read where these pieces of this ship are because the way that Blender has tried to unwrap everything makes a lot of sense to a PC, but does not make a lot of sense to me. And I find that ironic and entertaining. But we're doing better now than we were. So what I think I will do is, at some point every day, my wife calls and we chat. So I think I will continue to work until she gives me a holler, and then I'll call it for the day. I know that over there in the UK, you're at dinner time or almost up on dinner time, so we are coming up on lunchtime here in Denver. And it's the middle of the night over in Japan, which is why I don't get a lot of Japanese visitors. This is this, which I don't think I need that to be at 1:1 resolution. But I can park it here anyway. Because at least at the moment, all right, we just need to bite the bullet on these guys. Move them in. Because I think really what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate the... I think really what I'm going to do is not rotate anything, apparently, until these guys match. All right. I shouldn't expected otherwise. Mr. Bond, no, I expect you to die. All right. And then I'm going to bring this and just bring it a little closer here. I'll rotate this to match the angle. And then I'll just park that right there. Okay, we'll see you later. Hope you visit again. We're here every day about this time. Well, every weekday. Every weekday. Also, we run at night sometimes. Well, most of the time. So if you want to join us at night, which would be the middle of your day, you can. You don't have to. No obligation. But it was great meeting you. As you will. Anytime you want. We're here. Hanging out, just a doing. Because art is important. Even if it is weird spaceships. Weird spaceship art. There we go. Okay, so This is that. Hey, the Nightbot actually said the right thing at the right time. Good job, Nightbot. All right. All righty. Now I'm just trying to get everything really tight and close so that whenever we get to the point where we're ready to put these together, they don't take up much space and we don't have to puzzle it together, you know? And there is going to be a certain amount of puzzling stuff together. Okay, so there's the nose portion. I'll put that over here. I'll get one wing. I don't think it needs much. You don't need much work. But that's the... we can do is point that in. So we'll readjust this a little so that it's pointed inward like a point. I left a piece behind. Don't leave pieces behind. And so we'll make it a point, like so. And then all of that is just the outer edge of it. So we can kind of stuff all of this in between the primary pieces here, and that won't be a problem. So right. We can take this, then this entire wing now is sort of rigged to just be turned 90 degrees and then point in. Like so. And then I could just do this and park it right there. Right? And then once it's in, I don't have to worry about it. And then we can take these pieces and just put them right here. Fill that gap, because they're going to have a gap might as well do something about it, right? And those are just this outside ring. This is also sort of this inside ring. Those are all going to be straight up what they are, so I'm not worried. Right there. We'll do the same thing on the other wing, and we'll call that one good. Or the other canard. The same thing with this. Thank you, and put you over here, and you put you over here. Take this wing, or this piece, and rotate it 180 degrees. Take this piece. We'll move it over here. Take these pieces and just put them back here. And then all of the random stuff will live on this side and fill in this gap. I'll take this, rotate it 90 degrees. And then park this right here. All the giblets, they need to move temporarily while I park this, and then we'll find a spot for the giblets that works. Because I think we can probably get in real tight, right? Like that's probably our tightest bet. So then I can take these guys and put them right here. So this is now the entire nose of the ship. All of the pieces on the nose, with the exception of the landing gear, which is the next thing we will get in there and figure out. Because the landing gear door is the next piece we want. You. Because the landing gear door needs to go in there too. And that's you. So you'll go up here. I feel like there. Why was this not done before, guys? Come on, work with me here, huh? This looks like it's now kind of off scale, which that irritates me because I just thought we did this. I'm going to average the scale. Frustrating. Somebody online had said something to the effect of, I don't know what algorithm it uses for this. And I'm now starting to see what they mean by that. Because now I'm starting to wonder whether these are averaged out or not. All right. Now, if I average this, how much of a disaster is this going to make? Like how much over? What I don't get is this. Like, it made these smaller. And I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense. Why are the sides smaller? Oh, no, I didn't help it. Because that should be the top coming around to the side. I don't know what's going on here. But yep. Well, one more try, because of course the wings, they're on, the canards are on top of one another. Like, see, here at this moment, I feel like, now let's take a look at this. Let's examine this. If I take these front pieces, they're there. They're there. They're there. Right? And that's that. And why is that not aligned correctly? Right? At this point, it is aligned correctly. To the after part of the ship, that's the same thing. I think I'm going to just take these and pull them out of the mix, because I like where it is. That's already done. Right? I don't need to do that again. What I do want is the front landing gear in this. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Let's just talk about this and then do the averaging islands. Is it rescuable? I don't know. When they're on top like this, it's really hard. I feel like there needs to be a command for this. Isn't that nice? Pack Islands. Pack Islands. What? I'm not still streaming. Is this thing on? I'm easily entertained. Yeah, although I think I am going to be done streaming here in a minute. Because I feel like we are coming up on the end of my usable functionality here. I'm aggravated about its way of packing, though. Can I just do pack islands like that? And will it do that better? Because it does it back to where it was before, because it's not a well-packed island, I don't think. Right? Lack of sleep. I don't know, guys. I think we've got it. There are actually some seriously powerful UV operable controls that I keep looking at and going, oh, wish I'd known that about 20 minutes ago. The thing is that I want the islands to stay congruous. I don't want them to move. So I'm going to have to figure that out. I mean, like, what happens if I just unwrap that? Does it make a mess of things? Yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of a weird unwrap. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, guys. I am out. I'm going to go get lunch. You should too. Oh, my goodness. And we will see each other again tonight as we continue on with the journey of trying to map this spacecraft. Until then, keep your eyes on the stars. Good night. Or good day. Good day, I say. Good. Yes, that's right. That was my battle plan. It involves a nap and eating. So, good job, Jerry. Okay. You can give some of it to George if he ever figures out where it is. See you guys later. Bye-bye.